Black cats, I'm telling you, they don't let you do anything. Hey, welcome back. It's been a little while since I've done a book video. That is for a specific reason. I've just been really busy, you know, with life, and I am attempting to learn ASL at the same time. So it has really been a very busy few weeks for me. So yeah, welcome back, and sorry for the lapse. So today I'm going to be doing the favorites tag that I saw on Brittany and Books channel. She is not the original poster. The original poster is this video here. I will also link it in the description below. I also want to apologize for how red my fucking face is. I'm so sorry. It is so warm here, and I am not a fan of the warm. I'm just not a fan of it. So I'm all warm and red because of the heat, so just forgive me when it comes to that. So anyway, let's just kick it off with the very first question, which are 5 books that define my taste. This was a little bit hard because I feel like my tastes have changed over the course of even just a few months. While I'm still a dark romance girly, I find that I have been kind of diving out of that as well, just because I don't want to become so engulfed in one genre that I don't read anything else. And I have so much on my shelves that I really want to make sure that I'm diversifying my palette when it comes to reading and writing as well. So let's start off with the very first book that I chose. So this is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. So this is more of a dystopian world, end of the world kind of dynamic where there's like cool where it's kind of like they've been isolated and there's an illness amongst a girls' school that deforms and eventually kills the girls. It is emotionally heart-wrenching. It is scary. It's something that isn't really like something that happens in today's society. I think I can't really say that actually. Something could happen like that in today's society. We never know. I'm not one to judge, but this is definitely one of those books that I fell in love with, and I love a good dystopian. Next up is Woman Eating by Claire Coda. This is more on the horror side, but it's not like straight up horror. It's not something that's horrifically scary or anything like that. It's just intense. Also, apologies. I live in a building on a main street, and it's beginning to be summer, so the assholes are out with their loud engines. Anyway, it's more, this book is more of a slow kind of builder when it comes to horror. It's got some funny moments in it. It's really eccentric, and it's got some really, you know, key elements in here that I love. The next one is The Thorns by Dawn Kurtagich. I actually just finished this book recently. This is more along the lines of like a psychological horror and thriller. I really love that genre. I feel like it pulls me in very, very quickly when the story is something that kind of hits home for me. It's one of those hard genres that I don't find a lot. But when I find an author that does it well, it really is something that I cling to, and I absolutely love a good psychological thriller. This has become a new personality of mine that is Married to the Alien Cowboy by Ursa Dax. This is a rom-com set on an alien penal colony. So this is more of a monster/alien romance. Super funny, super cute, not dark at all, nothing, you know, too horrific. It is a rom-com, and it's just super fluffy and comforting. And then who would I be if I wouldn't talk about my favorite genre, which is dark romance, Promises and Pomegranates. I feel like the dark romance genre still is how it would define me as a reader. I love the drama behind it. I love the tension, the thrill, the excitement. This is actually this is my introduction to knife play. So, spoiler, or maybe welcome if you're into that kind of thing. But yeah, dark romance, definitely something that I love deeply, and I love this book. So the next question, books that I was obsessed with from different stages of my life. A couple of these I have, most of them I don't, unfortunately, but we're gonna go through kind of the stages of my life and what I was reading at that point. So we'll start off with like childhood, when I was a kid, right? Something like I wasn't reading chapter books yet or whatever. I absolutely loved Angelina Ballerina. Not something that I thought that I would ever, you know, come out and say, for sure. I don't know why. Why would I not say it? Maybe before I was embarrassed, but I think at the age I'm at now, I no longer give a shit. Angelina Ballerina, I read most of them when I was a kid. I don't remember what my favorite one was, unfortunately. It was a very long time ago. But I remember specifically going to like the Scholastic Book Fair or just the library in general and trying to find the newest Angelina Ballerina book. If they didn't have it, I would just grab one that I've already read 100,000 times and I would read that one. But I remember absolutely loving Angelina Ballerina. I wonder if I should pick one up again and see if I still like it. See if it still holds. Because you never know. It was also a TV show, I think, at one point. I never watched the TV show. But I devoured the books. The other one that I read a lot as a kid, Arthur. Arthur was also one of my favorite TV shows as a kid and as a teenager and as an adult. I found comfort in Arthur. I don't know why. The family dynamic was nothing like my family dynamic. But I do have to say that DW taught me a lot about being a smart ass and taking no shit. So there is that. And I watched the cartoon every single morning when it started and I was getting ready for school. I would watch Arthur in the morning. So I definitely loved Arthur as a kid in book form and in TV form. As I got a little older and I started reading chapter books, there were a few series that I devoured every single chance I got. The first one was Animorphs. I don't know if anyone remembers Animorphs. I'm aging myself here, absolutely. But I remember Animorphs a little bit. I remember there was one character in Animorphs that like got stuck in his morph, like in his animal form. He was a hawk and like he could change into a hawk, but unfortunately he got stuck somehow. I'm gonna have to remember, like I'm gonna have to Google that and see what happened there. But he like got stuck as a hawk and like never saw his parents again. Nobody knew what happened to him except for the other Animorphs, right? But yeah, so Animorphs was definitely something that I loved. Again, I kind of want to pick up an Animorphs and see how they read now, you know. The next one is a very obvious one, the Goosebumps series. That book with the mask and then the one with the ventriloquist dummy, I don't remember the names of them. Oh my God, they terrified me. And then they had the whole like the TV series for them as well. And I had already read all these stories as a kid, but then like when you watch them and like you see like in your head you see the mask that you see and then all of a sudden it's on the TV screen, as a kid that's terrifying. I remember sitting up in my room with Britt reading Goosebumps books past our bedtime and then freaking out. I was freaked out. My dreams were very messed up after I read a Goosebumps book after bedtime, but I still did it any chance I got. I loved that series and I still do. And then the last one when I was reading chapter books for the first time is The Babysitter's Club. I remember my favorite one. It was The Babysitter's Club and The Mean Genie. I read that one so many times. So many times. It was my favorite one. I think I checked up in the library 100 times. That was the one that I was like, I love that book. I'm definitely gonna have to do a reread. See if I remember anything about it. I don't remember anything about that book. I just remember the feeling it gave me, and it's a very nostalgic feeling. As a teen, I had a few books that basically, I think that in my teen years, that's when I really developed my love of reading. It all started with The Outsiders. So The Outsiders was a book that I had to read for school, but I remember I finished it before the whole class and I had to keep backtracking and rereading certain parts for like certain projects that we had to do, because again, I went to a Canadian public school. And I don't know how things worked in, you know, other areas or whatever, but what we would do is we would pick a book from the list of appropriate books for children, and our class had to do The Outsiders, and we had to do like reports on The Outsiders. We'd read like a few chapters, and then we would have to do like a project based on the chapters that we did. And then at the very end of the book, we would have to do like a book report, like a full-blown book report on what we learned and all that stuff. I read ahead So all of the projects were very easy for me because I actually read them twice. So I remember getting home with the book, and Britt was like, oh yeah, you know, that book's really good, because her class had done it before mine. And so I just read the whole book in like 2 days over the weekend. And then I went back to school and they were like, oh, did you guys finish chapters 1 to 3? And I was like, oh shit, I was only supposed to read chapters 1 to 3. Whoops. Everyone was like, yeah. They were so bored of it. Not me. I was like ready. I was engulfed. I was ready to talk. I couldn't talk about things past chapter 3, so I just kept my mouth shut. I didn't really talk in school anyway, but like, I loved that book so much. It was such a turning point for my teenage years, and it made me so happy. And again, I've read it hundreds of times. I've read that book even as an adult, and like as I haven't read it in a few years now, but I've read that book several hundred times, and I've seen the movie several hundred times. That book never gets old. The next book I actually own, and that is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Oh, this book. I have read this book so many times. I remember when the movie came out, I was so scared. I was so scared that they were going to absolutely fuck up one of my favorite books of all time. They didn't. They did it justice. I think that the only thing that I was like set on is that they keep the songs and they keep Riddles in the Dark. Riddles in the Dark is like, I think, almost an exact copy of this, of like the chapter to the movie. And that's really all I needed. I just needed to make sure they did that part justice. They didn't fuck up that part of the movie. This was like my intro into fantasy. I've never really read a fantasy book before reading this one. It wasn't something that I was like really into, and you know, I grew up before the big fantasy boom with the series that will not be named. But yeah, like I grew up and you know, we didn't really have like anything that I remember anyway that it came from, you know, the fantasy world until The Hobbit. And this is, I'm gonna out myself right now. I'm outing myself right now as to why I picked up this book. I picked up this book because, and I think it was in 2001, Justin Timberlake, who I was obsessed with as a kid, now I know better, but he said that his favorite book was The Hobbit. So I went out and I bought The Hobbit from the local chapters, not expecting to love it. I just picked it up because Justin Timberlake said it was his favorite book. I'm woman enough to admit that. I'm woman enough to admit that I picked up a book because Justin Timberlake said he liked it. And that makes me a strong person. I've saved the most, I think, quintessential to my teenage years for last. That is Tiger Eyes by Judy Blume. This book is from 2014. It's not the original copy that I loved dearly. If I can find a photo of it, I'll post it here. But I remember I've never owned this book. The copy that I had was always from the library, and I constantly had it. I would bring it back, wait 2 days, check it out again. Bring it back, wait 2 days, check it out again. If somebody was borrowing it, I would check every day to see if it was back, and then I would steal it again. It is something that I clung to because this girl she's full of rage. It was the first introduction, I think, to teenage rage that I could feel and I could cling to, you know? And misunderstanding and grief and just longing that I didn't understand at the time. I understand it now, to an extent. I think everybody goes through grief and turmoil and that rage and fear that is being fueled by grief differently. It's heartbreaking and on all fronts. This was a book that kind of introduced me to that side of life in a time where I think it was safe for me to divulge into that world. This book brings me back to being the kid in the library, reading this book through recess, through all breaks, through, you know, spending lunch break in the library, reading this book. This was probably my favorite book from the time I was like 12 until an adult this book, like, I don't put this in a category of my favorite books. I put this in a category of its own. This is not part of like my favorite books of all time. This is above that. I think that the two books that I just held up and The Outsiders. So I think The Outsiders, The Hobbit, and Tiger Eyes, these are in a league all of their own. They are not part of like, oh, I'm gonna rank these as my favorite books. No, these are outside of that. These are special in a way that I cannot even describe. So yeah, these are the books that I was obsessed with in many stages of my life. So the next question is my favorite genres. I think I discussed this a little bit. We'll start off with the most prevalent one, which is dark romance. People don't understand dark romance, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people not understanding dark romance. I'm okay with them thinking that it's just corn and, you know, that people who like dark romance are just deranged or whatever. I'm okay with that. I'm not here to convince anybody to think the way that I think, to like the books that I like, to kind of change anybody's opinion, to argue with anybody. I'm not here for that. Honestly. I've had some comments in the past, especially about dark romance, where people are saying that like it's a bad addiction to have. It's something that I shouldn't be promoting on my page. There was somebody on my Instagram, I will link her page here if you guys want to go. She did a very in-depth discussion around why dark romance is important to certain readers. In my perspective, it kind of gives me a sense of power back when it comes to what I've been through in my life, when it comes to a certain ex of mine. I had a not so great experience with an ex who basically stalked me. He like literally stalked me for years. Even when I was, you know, starting out and into a very long-term relationship with my current husband, he still stalked me. And it was a scary thing. And reading dark romance is something that it kind of helps in like a therapeutic way. So stalker romance is one of my favorites. The masked men, the prey trope. So that's the run trope. It is one of my favorites, and it's because it's therapeutic in a way where I can read these topics and be in control of it. I can put it down whenever I want, walk away. It's not real, but it's a way for me to take my power back when it comes to those situations. That's what dark romance does for people, and I just wanted to discuss that as I was discussing this genre as my favorite. Yes, it's dark. Yes, there's taboo subjects. Absolutely, it's not for everybody. Yes, there is really sensitive scenes like murder and just horror in general when it comes to dark romance. I'm so aware. The content matter is problematic, but you have to look at the other side of it and look at it holistically. A lot of people don't want to. And again, I'm not here to convince anybody to read the books, to like the books, to change their opinion. Not what I'm here for. Okay? I'm not going to try to force you, but that's just my take on it. The next genre that is my favorite is thriller. I kind of like more of like a crime thriller more than a regular thriller. There is an author that I love. Her name is Megan Golden. And this started out with a book called, what is it called? The Night Swim. I love The Night Swim. It's like a podcast talking about a certain crime and then, you know, the investigation into that crime. And it's really on the thriller side. It's just exciting. Thrillers are exciting, especially when they're done well. Another one of the thrillers that I love so much is Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. It's just so much fun. You know, like to kind of sit there and try to guess what's going on. Riley Sager did this to me, trying to keep me guessing on what's gonna happen next. I love that. I love the twists and turns. I love being able to try to guess. Am I right sometimes? Yeah, I mean, I read so many of them, I kind of know what's going to happen next. That's not the point, though. The point is getting to that finish line and being like, yeah, I knew it, or oh my god, I never saw that coming. It's fantastic. And the last genre that I'll say is my favorite is more on the horror side. This is new for me. I am finding a love for psychological horror all over again. This has got to be because I started reading it again like earlier this year, and I was over consuming on romance, which is what happens. I over consumed on something and I had to switch, and the best thing to switch to in my mind was like a horror psychological thriller. beautifully done. It worked, and it has become something that I'm kind of craving those like ghosts, you know, haunted house kind of feel. Even in the spring, it's not even Halloween yet, but like I'm craving those stories, right? So I'm kind of into that right now, and it's something that is starting to hold a little special place. I used to love horror as a kid, like the Goosebumps and things like that. I loved them when I was a kid. I feel like I'm coming back home. That's what it feels like. So the next prompt are my favorite authors. I don't want to name a lot of the authors that I have already named in the past several times. I know that I have named a lot of people just in the past, and I don't want to like keep beating on the same name. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit because I do have a lot of favorite authors. The one that I will not take out of my list ever, I'm so sorry, is Courtney Summers. I could read anything that Courtney Summers writes. I could read her grocery list. Like, she just has a way of making her characters come alive, you know, on page. They just come to life, and they become like something special to me every single time. And I love the way that she writes. She makes me emotional. She makes me scared. She makes me, you know, she makes me everything basically when it comes to, you know, her characters. And I love. My next favorite author is Dawn Kurtagich. She's getting into the adult realm. I first got a hold of Dawn's books because of Brit, and she showed me Teeth in the Mist. Just changed the game for me. It really, really did. I absolutely love Dawn Kurtagich's writing. There's something about her writing, and I used a word with a friend of mine on Instagram that really connects Dawn to me, and the word is Harayeth. Whenever I read something of Dawn Kurtagich's, that's what I feel. So Harayeth is another word for like longing for something that you can never go back to. Whether that's a person, place, thing, typically places. That feeling you get when you walk down a certain path and it's familiar, but you can't really grasp the memory, and that's what sits with you. And you long for the memories. You long for that feeling to come back. That's what Dawn's writing feels like to me. There's no other way to explain it. It's just beautifully written. The aesthetics. The horror is mild and builds slowly. The psychological side is beautifully done, with the mental health side being well taken care of. Nothing is overboard. Nothing is extreme, made out to be more dramatic than it really is, and it logically is. It's just so well done. And it makes me feel certain things. I love her writing. The next one is a newer author to me, and that is Ursa Dax. So Ursa Dax writes the Alien Cowboy series that I showed previously. Her writing has become so comforting. Her writing is something that I cling to. I read it all in one sitting. I just grab the book and I just sit there and I go. When I'm having a bad day, I read Ursa Dax. I found Ursa Dax because Brit introduced me to monster romance, and I have not looked back. She's also like the sweetest person ever. Like, she's so sweet. And the next one is Ruby Dixon. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with these barbarians. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. They're just so much fun. Everything about these is so much fun. I would legitimately read this series over and over and over again. I'm trying to not like run through them all like right away. I'm on book 8 right now, and I haven't picked it up since like reading the first couple chapters, because again, I don't want to over consume on romance, especially my alien romances, because they are a comfort for me. But oh my God, I love her writing so much. It's so funny, it's so quick. The misinformation of like the two species is so cute. I love it. So yeah, those are my favorite authors as of right now. The other ones still stand true. But again, I don't want to like just repeat myself in my videos. You know what I mean? The next question is my favorite form of reading. When I say I love, I mean I love holding on to books. There's nothing like holding a book in your hands and just feeling it. Feeling that book. There's nothing like that. There's nothing that compares to the feeling of holding a book in your hands and getting to devour the story in that way. Unfortunately, I have some really bad problems with my hands. So reading physically is sometimes very, very difficult. So there are many times where I will, pick a book off my shelves and then I won't be able to hold it for long. So I'll have to go find it at the library or find it on Kindle Unlimited or something, simply because I can't hold the fucking thing. It's unfortunate. Like, I hate that. It's something that I have to baby though, because I use my hands for work. My hands are basically my livelihood. So I can't really take them for granted. I can't abuse them. So when my hands start getting tired, I have to stop. And so that means I have to go with the Kindle. I did get a few things to make reading easier, such as a Kindle stand and a little clicker, a little remote. So that makes things a hell of a lot easier, but I'll never stop loving holding a physical book in my hands ever. So the next question is my favorite book characters. I think I'm only gonna talk about one. The reason for that is I feel like I've talked about a lot of characters in the past, but I wanted to focus on a character that I just recently fell in love with this year, 2025. And that is Gigi from Phantom by H.D. Carlton. I didn't think, this was a surprise for me. Gigi, as not even the character, but the book as a whole, was a shock to me because I didn't think that I would actually like the book. I didn't think that it would be something that I would absolutely fall in love with, or that I would, give a rating of more than like 3 stars, because I didn't have a great experience with The Hunting, Adeline, and Haunting Adeline. I didn't have a great experience. So I thought, you know what, I'll give her another try. And then I absolutely fell in love with Gigi as a character. I fell in love with the story. I thought it was very well written. Gigi as a character, especially for the time period in which Phantom is set, is not your typical character in terms of how she handles herself and how she conducts herself with her husband. She is a I don't give a fuck kind of person, and it makes me so happy. I never forget this, there's a whole monologue where she just lets her husband fucking have it. She just breaks, and she no longer gives a shit, and she's just done with taking the bullshit from this man. And at that moment I fell in love with her. She calls out her husband every single chance she gets for his bullshit. She doesn't just let it slide. She's not somebody who is just gonna let shit go. And that was not heard of in the time period in which the book was written. She's such a strong character, and I loved her. I loved reading her story and, getting to know her as a character outside of Haunting Adeline. So the next prompt is my favorite series, and this should come as no shock. always has been, always will be. This is it. Now, I will say, just because this is my favorite series doesn't mean that I love everything about it. You can have a favorite series and hate certain elements. I did not like how this series ended at all. The way this series ended pissed me off really bad. But there is a reason why this is my favorite series. It's a favorite series of mine because of how it makes me feel. The characters in here. The way that this book brought me out of a dark time. That's why this is my favorite series. And that's all there is to it. You always look so miserable whenever I hold you. Even though you're not struggling and you're purring. Okay. I don't want you licking my piercing. Can I have a kiss? Okay. So the next prompt is a series that I can't wait to finish, and that's the Barbarian series. I don't think the series is actually done yet. I think that they're on like book 21. It's a long series. I don't know if I'll ever be finished it, or if I am finished it will take like a long time. But yeah, it's such a great series. I love it so much. It's like, again, not something that I ever thought that I would fall in love with, but I absolutely adore it so far. Again, I'm on book 8. There's just so many of them. So the next question is a series that I can't wait to start. And I gotta say, it's the Throne series by Kerri Maniscalco. Book 2 is already out. I have both. This is book 1. I have book 2. Have not started this at all, because I'm not done the Kingdom of the Wicked series. I have one more book left in the Kingdom of the Wicked series, which I will read, and then I will get started on this one, I promise. Promise, I'll read this series before the end of the year. I probably won't. Let's be honest, I'm not really in a big fantasy kick right now, if I'm honest with you, but the aesthetic, I just love Carrie Maniscalco's writing, and I really can't wait to read this series. I love the Kingdom of the Wicked series. I love Stalking Jack the Ripper. I can't wait. It's just thick. It's just a thick baby, and my hands can't take this. I'd have to find it and get it on my Kindle, and I'm stubborn. So the next question is my favorite, like, beautiful covers, special editions, etc. I have a whole stack next to me because I collect beautiful books. I do not stop until I have favorites of my favorite books, or I have, like, and I'm going to show you, this will be the first one I'll show you because it's a spoiler. I have 9 copies of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, all different. Let me show you my favorite one. This should be a no-brainer. This version, it's the illustrated anniversary edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Me and Britt stocked, I think it was Book Outlet. I think that's what it was, for this. And the first time, because the first time we tried to get it from Book Outlet, that said that it was all sold out. We couldn't get it. We stocked it. We got notifications set up, and we finally were able to get it. And it's filled with art of Addie and the characters in Addie from, like, different people, right? So, like, I don't want to ruin the book. I'm not going to open it too wide, but, like, there's one there. It's just beautiful. And it has, like, the photos of or the names of the people who, you know, who drew them. Some of these are, like, my favorite things ever. Like, I absolutely love them. And then if you look at the spine, it's gray on the top and bottom. There's a ribbon as well. And then if you look underneath the dust jacket, it's just this beautiful gray. And the end pages are art as well. So these, like, this shows Addie on her wedding day praying to a god in the middle of the night who grants her wish. And this is the different one. So this is, again, Addie with the birds, and that shadow is who we know as Luke. Yeah, this book is beautiful. It is my favorite book ever. It is something that I cherish. I don't care if people are sick of me talking about it. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I know that that's rude to say. So the next one is something that I also have a couple copies of. This is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I was obsessed with this book as well. However, I did not get this book. I did not get into this book when I was a teenager. That's why it wasn't part of my original, like, books that you were obsessed with thing. I got into this book when I was in my 20s, and it brought me into historical fiction. This book is beautiful. The movie is bullshit. This is nothing special. It's just an all-white book. It's got that there, but it's the anniversary edition. I think it's so beautiful. The next one is a book I have not read yet. I'm not going to read this copy, but this is the Poppy War, the special edition that just came out recently. Look at those end pages. And then when we look inside, we'll take off the dust jacket. Just beautiful, that orange glow. And then that is the end pages. Gorgeous, right? I don't know if there's anything, like, special on the inside. Oh yeah, there's drawings. Oh wow. I don't want to ruin the book for myself, but I'm gonna go look at this. Gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Oh, this book is beautiful. The next one is also a special edition. I have read this book. This is the humongous illustrated Hunger Games, the first one. Not sure when the second, third, and fourth come out. If we look under the dust jacket, and I love this. Look at that. Isn't she beautiful? She's gorgeous. And then let me just flip to a random page. So it is in print, but let me show you some of these illustrations. Gorgeous, right? It's I want to sit with this book and read this copy, I think. When I do my reread, of the Hunger Games. I want to sit down with this copy, I think. Next one is very special to me because quintessential to my childhood, The Hobbit. It's a special edition. It's the HarperCollins special edition of The Hobbit, and I haven't really like opened this up. I don't think there's anything special on the inside. It's just, this is an absolute beautiful copy of this book. Here are the end pages. It's just the map. It gets on both sides. Yeah. Just so lovely. And I love this book so much. This is cherished. This is a cherished piece of art. And then the last one that I'm gonna show y'all, something that I didn't get, you know, too long ago. It's something that I got recently. This is Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus by Mary Shelley. This is a special edition. Gorgeous. Look at those end pages. There's sun getting in. Natural light, baby. So I'm trying to show y'all, but the sun's coming for me. It makes me happy. That's the only way I can describe it. Look at the chapter headings. It's so beautiful. It's gorgeous. So those are my favorites. The next question is, if I could buy a book right now, just for fun, which book would it be? And I know I've spoken a lot about The Hobbit today, but I think my first choice would be the original cover of The Hobbit that I had. I destroyed that book. Destroyed it with how many times I've read it. I no longer have it. It was lost. It makes me very sad. But I think the cover looked like this, and I want that cover. So if anybody finds it, please let a girl know. Please and thank you. The next one is favorite bookish merch shops that I have. I don't have a lot of bookish merch, if I'm honest with you. I have a lot of bookish t-shirts like this one I got from Torrid. It says always falling for the Morley Gray, which is true. I have a shirt that says Morley Gray is my favorite color. I do have a necklace that I recently bought myself that I'm not wearing right now that says I remember you. It's from Addie LaRue that I got from Etsy. I actually had it made special because I couldn't find an Addie LaRue necklace that I liked or would fit me. But one shop that I love is from a creator called Phases and Pages. I have a couple photos that I'm going to show here, me wearing some of the book stuff that she makes. I have so many articles of clothing of hers. She does things from like indie authors, dark romance, some fantasy, romantasy, I guess if you're gonna call it. But she's so talented. She's a small business, POC business owner. She is amazing. I recommend going to check out her shop. I'll link it down below. But yeah, I get all of my bookish stuff pretty much from her. And the last one is my favorite bookish creators. I'm just going to shout out a couple from YouTube that I love so much. There is Brittany and Books. And I didn't just learn about Brittany and Books, if I'm honest. I've known about her for a little bit now, but I stopped watching BookTube for a while, and then I just got back into it recently. I love Brittany. I feel like she explains things so well, something that I could never explain things like. She just speaks so eloquently, and she's really intelligent, and I love listening to her. The next one is Jan Agaton. I feel like our aesthetics match, so I attempt to be more on the gothic side, and I love dark books. I love the dark romance. I love horror and thrillers, and I feel like me and her, I connect with her on those things. I love her content. She's so funny. I just wish I could have more time to watch BookTube, if I'm honest with you. I don't really have a lot of time to watch BookTube, but when I do, those two are the ones that I go to the most. And then I have one from TikTok that I watch a lot. Her name is Brit and Her Books. I think that's what her name is. Hold on. Yeah, Brit and Her Books. She is fucking hilarious. Go watch her. She's not like a serious, like, you know, doing debates and things like that. She is just so funny. And I feel like I just found her recently, and I could watch her for days. She is fucking hilarious. So I recommend going to go watch Brit and Her Books on TikTok. All right, that's it. We're done. We're finito for the day. I didn't do a Dutch phrase or word of the day for this one. Oh well. Sorry, babe.
So my camera died. Right as I was saying sorry to my husband for not doing a Dutch phrase of the day. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.